Hey everyone. There are, I'm just trying to see there, we may wait a couple minutes to get started just because there's more people that enrolled, but I'm the founder of Lightstanza, and really happy to get your feedback today. And I hope Michael, between Michael and I, we can communicate well. Alrighty, and this webinar is going to be recorded today. And so, hi, I'm the principal and founder of Lightstanza. My background is both in architecture and engineering, and I'm the founder, and we're here in sunny Colorado. This is about 30 kilometers from where I live, I'll get started here. So our software does both daylight and electric lighting. I'm going to be spending most of my time talking about our electric lighting workflow, but I'll give some background about where we came from with daylight, just so you understand who we are. I do believe that lighting quality is a combination of electric and daylight. So I'd like in the future for lighting designers to basically be able to do both easily. I'll just talk really briefly about our daylight background, but basically we use radiance as our calculation engine. We've had field studies to show that it's very accurate. We had a university in India review our software, and they modeled a building. They calculated the light levels, and then they built the building, and they got within 4% accuracy. And also people use our software right now for daylight calculations. This is Stantec using it to optimize for glare. And this is just the building that they made that was, Green Building of the Year, and they use our software to do the daylight calculations. Likewise, we have some pretty sophisticated calculations for like electrochromic glazing. This is very just sophisticated stuff. I just wanted to show this is a bit of our roots, is that we're really interested in the dynamic nature of light, and also just to get the calculations very accurate. And in this case, you can actually look at how this glass can change colors depending on different factors of the sun. So we're interested in controls too, and this is what it would look like, say, if you want to do a rendering for a client of the light levels. And we also do these annual daylight calculations, which some of you may be asked for in your work. It's, how much lighting can you get without the lights turned on? And that's something that our software does really well. And there's a European standard for this too. Lastly, we have some things with glare, and what we use right now is daylight glare probability. We understand there are different glare metrics, and we're developing them for electric lighting, so you can really understand how painful or how comfortable your environments are. On the left is a window without any just regular glass. On the right is some more cool dynamic glass. And you can get sort of plots and look at different configurations for glare. Okay, and lastly, we do have some collaboration, and I'll be showing you a little bit about that so that you can communicate either with each other or even with us. To get technical support, you can just type in a message and we can get your technical message and write you back and see the context of it. So I'm just gonna kind of jump into our electrical product now. Are there any questions right now about the daylight? I just sort of gave a brief overview just to show you our backgrounds, and that we're really passionate about light. We're interested in dynamic aspects of light. And if there are any questions right now. Okay, so all right, so from here, I am going to just talk about electrical product. And so we work both, there are different ways to work with Lightstanza. So one way is just do your lighting layouts in Revit, and you can use Lightstanza to run the calculations. Also, you can do layouts online, and you can also sync between the two. So this is a really unique feature where if you're moving fixtures in Revit, you can have them move online and vice versa. So different people may have different preferences. Who here has used Revit or has clients that use Revit? Also, we work with traditional CAD workflows like DXF, as well as SketchUp and other formats. So that being said, I'm just going to go into the demonstration mode. And you can also, lastly, you can do things if you are using Revit, you can do things like we call prorate them. So you could change your linear fixture and then have the software calculate the right photometrics for it automatically. So yeah, where do we want to start? Who here uses SketchUp or is interested in SketchUp? And how can Lightstanza work with SketchUp? So I'm just going to go over this example. Yeah, of the folks, are people interested in SketchUp, CAD, or Revit? Or I'll go over them all. Just speak out if you're interested in DXF, Revit, and this is SketchUp. It also works with Rhino. But the idea, the way that Lightstanza works is what you want to do is you want to send your model to Lightstanza. And this is just a regular, whoops, I locked myself out. So this is just a regular SketchUp model. It has some windows in it. Also the SketchUp model. I actually placed some calculation grids in SketchUp. And to make these things calculation grids, you just have to use a different material. And you could put these at whatever height you want. And they could also be oriented in different ways. And once you upload it to Lightstanza, here you can see your model in 3D. And these are the calculation grids that you put in. And you don't have to put them in SketchUp, but I did have them here because they're handy. And right away, I could do something like I can go into this plan mode. And Lightstanza uses some intelligence to understand that this is a 5-story building. And if I wanted to, I could go to one of these floor plans, and I could even view in 3D. And if I wanted to, just to try the lighting, I could run a grid calculation at multiple times. There are no fixtures in here yet, but we're going to put some electrical fixtures in momentarily. So I can also pull back out on this model, and I can go outside the building, and I can do things like we have a crop box that we can use to make this model smaller if we wanted to. So if I were to pull this out, I could turn on this crop box. Oops. And here we are. And I can actually take this model. Let's say I just want to do lighting for one of the levels. So I could basically take this and let's see if I can kind of collapse this. So let's say I'm just doing lighting for part of the building. I can, well, let's get the ceiling here. I want to go here. That's maybe good enough. Now if I go back here, I'm really just looking at one view of this model here. And if I wanted to here, here you can see the different floors and different things that we're working on. But the idea is I could start doing a lighting layout in this model wherever I want. And to do lighting layouts, you can pick from a library, and you can add fixtures to your library, or you can just start from scratch. Like if I were to have a folder, and I apologize, I had to reboot my computer, but if I just wanted to quickly look for some IES files, I can pick some of these, and I apologize, these are not, I'm just picking just random IES files here, but I could drop them into my project here, and I could start adding fixtures to my SketchUp model. Yeah, this isn't the right type of fixture, but you could see this in plan, and then you can see it over here, and we can see them, and let's just put on wireframe. So here we could see the fixtures. So this is sort of our SketchUp workflow, and you can actually start adding fixtures anywhere you want in your model. If I wanted to look at the grids, the calculation grids, I can disable them all. I could turn this calculation grid on. And then if I run a calculation here, it's going to run it for this grid here. And I've also run this calculation for daylight here, and you could see different results for the daylight calculation. And so this is, once you add in a light fixture, you get the electrical part here, but if you wanted to see the sun, you can just turn it on this way. And if I wanted to do another calculation with the sun, I could just do a single point in time. Maybe I don't do multiple points, and I run this. So I just wanted to pause for questions right now. And yeah, sorry. And then these are being run in the cloud, so it's not bogging down your computer. So these calculations, if you were working, you can come back. And if you had a question about this, you could say, you know, I don't think the calculation was accurate. And you could tag us at support, or it could just be like, Michael, do you think we need to add more luminaires? So this is the collaboration aspect, and you'll get an email, and you don't actually need a copy of Lightstanza to read it. So for example, I'm going to give a hyperlink to this model, and let me open the chat window here. The chat. So people, I just put in the chat window a hyperlink, and you should, folks that would like to take a second to look at the chat window, you're able to, you're going to be able to come in this drawing and be able to see the analysis. And this is a daylight calculation. This is an electric light calculation. You know, again, this was sort of a silly example. I was just trying to show you how you could put in fixtures in a SketchUp model. And then we're going to move on to Revit and some other workflows. So this would be a case where I could just call this initial layout, and then I could type something here if I wanted to a colleague on here. Likewise, I could just share the entire drawing with someone else. That they don't need Lightstanza, and the hyperlink on the chat channel you should be able to get to. So yeah, any questions? I'm going to just pause for another second. Michael, do you have any questions right now about the SketchUp workflow and how we're able to send the model? It's a free plugin to SketchUp to just basically send the geometry over here, and then you can kind of.
I haven't seen the SketchUp working so far. You showed me the last time something about how it works with Revit, which is similar. So it doesn't need someone to have SketchUp to work with a SketchUp model, and I can send it even to another third party to verify if I've done it correctly. And none of them does need to have the SketchUp software on the computer because it's all web-based, correct?
Exactly. So this is the SketchUp model converted to Lightstanza. And if you wanted to change some of the materials, you actually can here. So if I wanted to pick one of these materials, I can go ahead and paint it. And then this will, well, this material is hard to see. Let's find something brighter. Make something bright red. And now if we go here, I think it'll be, okay, so I think, so you can do some alteration of the model where, okay, there it is. So this is the red paint. But yeah, that's the idea. And yeah, I'm just going over SketchUp. If people, yeah, are there any other questions about this? Otherwise I can move into Revit and I could show some other workflows.
I'd like to look into Revit because I think that's something which is going to be exceedingly important for us.
Okay, so here's a school in Revit, and this was done here in Colorado, and this school has an initial electrical layout, but they don't have any photometrics assigned in Revit. So what you can do is I can go ahead and go to Lightstanza. This is our free plugin. And so if you're a lighting designer and you're working with an architect or an engineer, and the engineer has their plan, they could either save it to disk into the Lightstanza format, and you don't need a copy of Revit. And so I can save this file directly, and the file I could use the photometrics that are applied in Revit. If some people have like light loss factor in Revit, you can use it, or you don't have to use it. You can just start with the defaults. And you can also filter these models, because these Revit models, as people know, are just really filled with stuff, right? And so you can pick sort of the different things, and you can manually select them, and you can select them after you do the upload. You can export a whole model, or if you want to make it really quick, you could say, I just want to do the lighting for this one space. This is like a kindergarten school. So you could actually pick one individual space, but I'll do the whole model. And then you can pick European or any other work plane height. And you can create grids on the walls and ceilings automatically. You can also create them in Lightstanza. And so if I were to save this, this will basically save it to a file. So if this was an engineer that you're working with, it'll save it into a Lightstanza data file. And you could say school sample, whatever it is, you could save it. And then the engineer could hand this to you. And then you don't need that work with DXF or DWG. Are there questions about that? About this is one workflow. If you don't have Revit, you would ask the person with Revit to export and then give you it in Lightstanza format, which is free. Yeah, are there questions about that? And the other, yeah, if not, if you have Revit, the more typical way would be that you export the Lightstanza. You can include the electrical work or not. If you don't need it because you're doing a daylight calculation, or if you're just doing all the electrical work in Lightstanza, you don't need it. But otherwise, we could use this. Again, you have the same options. And then you have this option to sync between Revit and Lightstanza, so the two can talk to each other dynamically. So if I hit export here, it's now going to convert it and then send the drawing to Lightstanza online. And so, so this is where you can get the cloud computing, as well as the collaboration aspects. And so you can see here, yeah, sending it to Lightstanza online. And since it's web-based, you could still work on your other project while this is uploading, because you can always make multiple windows of your work, and you can work on different things at once. And in fact, if I wanted to, I could even open up just a simple sketch pad of some ideas if I want. I just wanted to show you the flexibility while this Revit workflow is running. Hopefully I'm not losing you, but the idea is that it's web-based. You can have many copies running at once. I can go ahead and start on just some other lighting concept from scratch, or I could import a DXF, a PDF, and you can start running calculations, and you can go to lighting layouts and pick different types of fixtures and run calculations. And so hopefully I'm not confusing you too much, but I'm just trying to show that you can work. You don't have to be held down by your lighting program per se. So are there questions about this? And Michael, am I going too quickly? I was just trying to show that you can continue to work on other projects since it's web-based.
Well, I knew that, so that's something that I knew already. So I'm fine with that. But if anyone else having a question, feel open. I can also ask the people in Italian. Let's see. That's going to change something. Allora, se ci sono domande anche in italiano, sarebbe possibile. Faccio il mio meglio di aiutare con la traduzione di lingua. Se qualcosa è troppo veloce o troppo difficile, noi possiamo farlo vedere questa un'altra volta. Well, there seems to be no question at the moment.
Okay. And so this is just a copy of the Revit model that's online. And people like to have this copy because this shows a lighting designer what in Revit's actually being calculated. We have some defaults for the materials. And so, for example, we'll try to import all the walls at 50% or just to normalize the model so that it gets cleaned up. And you can change this percentage from 50 to a different percentage if you had a different wall reflectance. And the other thing is back in this view is that, as I said, in this case, the architect put in some fixtures here, but they didn't apply any IES files or photometrics. And so Lighstanza is prompting you to add a photometric file, and you can upload it. You could use a library. Let's see what I have. Again, I apologies because I'm just picking sort of random files. I'm not really thinking this through. And then this applies the IES files. So you could have done the IES, you could have added it to the fixture here in Revit, and it would have uploaded it to Lightstanza, or you could do it in Lightstanza. And let's say you just want to look at a particular space, you could still use this crop tool. And I can go ahead and run a calculation. And the other interesting thing about Lightstanza is people will want to either do their layouts in Lightstanza or they'll want to do them in Revit. And so, for example, I could move these around and change them. Or I could also do something like that here in Revit, where I can go ahead and, let's say I were to move this fixture in Revit or delete it. Sorry, it's so if I were to move this fixture, and let's say I were to delete this fixture, okay, so I'm editing these fixtures, and let's say I'm moving these around. What I could do is if I go back to this Lightstanza tab here, I could send my changes, and it will just send those 6 changes. And then what happens online is we should see these things move, and you could see them over here. So see how these fixtures moved? Yeah, are there questions about that? So this is one way of working in Lightstanza where you can change your, you can change your, you can change your results in Revit. Not your result, you can change your fixture layout in Revit and have it update in Lightstanza. And then you don't have to re-upload the entire model. So that's what I was showing here, that I moved these fixtures, and you can just send the changes, or you don't have to send the changes, but when you're ready, you can go ahead and you can just send them again, and then that fixture will move again. So yeah, are there questions about that? So here you can see the fixture went back. This is the result of the other one here. There's a lot of light here. And if you wanted to, you could send information back in the Revit. And so if I were to look at this report, I can actually send some information back in the Revit. So for example, Lightstanza could send the schedule information back in the Revit. And so I can hit this OK. It's sending back both just the fixture schedule, what we see here, as well as this calculation schedule. And then inside of Revit, you can see that we have these different reports that are being populated inside this model in Revit that came from Lightstanza. So that's one primary way that people can use Lightstanza, is they can send information back that way. And likewise, you can do fixture layouts in Lightstanza. Are there questions so far about what I just showed? Just that one, you can import Revit models. And the other thing is you can make changes in Revit, send them to Lightstanza. And what I'll show next is how you can work in Lightstanza, which I think many of you may want to do that. Are there questions right now, or okay. So the other thing you could do is, if you don't have Revit and you want to work with a Revit model and you get a Revit model, you could just do your fixture layout right in Lightstanza. And so here, you can just go ahead and do a regular layout too. And if you don't like, you can rotate these and yeah. Yeah, so you can also do your calculations in Lightstanza, and I can go ahead and crop to this space, or it is cropped here, and you can run a calculation just with no luminaires from Revit, but just from Lightstanza. So generally, people will work in Revit for the layouts, or they'll work in Lightstanza. They typically won't do both, which is what I'm demonstrating now. You typically won't want to do your editing in both places, because it can lead to some synchronization issues. So yeah, are there questions about this Revit workflow so far? That with Revit, you can just import the file directly, you get all the 3D geometry, and in this Revit model, you have all the spaces that the architect set up to run calculations on. And if you wanted to make your own grid, you can do it inside Lightstanza. You can make your own grids online too. And if you don't like this grid, you can make it inactive. And then you can just work with this other grid here. Yeah, are there questions about this?
I think it is new. So to me, there are many new things, and to the others are probably even more new things. So it's quite impressive how things are moving forward. And I received a message through another channel from someone for you to as information. Just go ahead. It seems to be of interest.
Okay. Good. Okay.
So,
Yeah.
just allow the people to look at it, because sometimes it needs time just to look and understand, because there are so many icons. Probably you can give us a quick overview of the different icons, what they mean, because then it's becoming much easier to understand what the possibilities are that you have.
Yeah.
Because they are totally different to what people know from DIALux and Relux that are more common in our region.
Okay. Sorry. So yeah, thank you for that question. So we have these different toolbars, and we'll start from the beginning here. Maybe we'll start in 3D here again. So on top, you basically, when you work in Lightstanza, you are part of a team, and your team may just be one person, or it could be many. So one thing you can do is you can go out and see all your projects. And so this is different, I think, than DIALux and Relux, in that you have a shared workspace with your company. And our pricing is actually by company, not by users. So the idea is that you have many different projects you could be working on. You can, when you start in Revit or in Sketchup, this is just, a Revit drawing, you'll go directly into your design, just like with SketchUp. But if you wanted to, when you log in, and so you will log in first. So even before this, you're going to log in to get to your company account. And when you log in, you can make something from scratch right away. You can make even a lighting box right away. And so this is different, I think, just because it's web-based and we're holding the storage for you. And you can go ahead and do different things and run these calculations. And so this will probably be one of the biggest differences with your other software, is that we have all your storage online. And then in addition, we do keep all the calculations are being run in the cloud. And so your laptop or your workstation won't have to worry about the calculations. And this is where you can see all your work. And you can also see other people on your team running calculations. If I go back to the home folder, I'll have different people running things. And so these are different people running things, and we even have anonymous people commenting on things. And so these are the different calculations. So yeah, and then you have this folder system that you could move your files around, and you can make folders. It's up to you on how you want to organize it, but everyone in your company will have a Revit export folder, just so that you can export your drawings in different locations, but then you can make them any way you want. So for that. So that's just the first thing that will probably be different than your software. And then when you go into one of these calculations or designs, then we get into this editing mode. And on top here, this is the overall toolbar, and this is just your project name. And this is just a way of just making something quick and easy, a new little project. That's what this plus button is. And then we have a share link. And again, this is going to be different than other software because you can share your work with other people. And I'm going to try again to get this the chat window open. And with the chat window, which seems to be hidden from me in Zoom, darn Zoom. Yeah, I am having difficulty with the chat window, but I think I'll get this later. But the idea is you can share this, and it's collaborative since it's all online. And then this plus button is just if you wanted to quickly make something else. And this is sort of the way that you can multitask. Just you can quickly start another design real quick. And this is just sort of the navigation. It's probably similar to some tools that you use, but you can review this, and this will just sort of show you how you navigate around Lightstanza. This is an important button for lighting designers that you want to, this is the 2D and 3D mode. And we have some intelligence where if your Revit model is 5 floors, you can toggle between the floor that you want to work on. So instead of having to work with 5 different files, you can just keep them all together. And likewise, if it's a SketchUp model or a Rhino model, it'll be the same. And then these are just some tools to crop and uncrop. Just a section box here. And this is just undo and redo. And this is just just how do you view the model. And you can also turn off the photometric webs. And so if you want it to run maybe quicker, you can turn off the photometric webs that are on here in 2D, and you can also see them in 3D. And in 3D, you have other graphical options like looking at this in wireframe mode. And those red symbols are saying that you have a fixture, but that doesn't have IES data on it. And there's also labels for the fixtures. So they can have each fixture here on the left has a label name. So in this case, this is label B, and you'll be able to see that if you want it on. And then this is just a way of showing a white background if this is a daylight calculation. So these are just more rendering things, but over here are some alignment grid tools. And so if I was working here in 2 dimensions, and I would potentially use this to have my fixtures snap on the things. And so if I were to move this around, it should start snapping on things, as you can see. We can also turn it off so it doesn't snap. And there I'm doing this. And then this alignment grid is just to help you figure out what the spacing. It will be in metric too, if you want that, or that's in your user preferences. And so this is where this this grid can come into play here. And you can just change that to help you with alignment. And you do have user settings. That's over here. And what's unique about Lightstanza is you can invite other people from your company to your team, and they'll have access to Lightstanza too. And you can change your units. I apologize, I'm using these foot candles in United States, but you guys would be using this. So it'll look more normal. Actually, I can keep these on for now. So maybe the new stuff that I do will be in units that you get. Yeah, and then also we make updates really frequently. Another nice thing about Lightstanza is you can see version notes, and you can see all the different updates we're doing at the company, and we'd like to think we're responsive to the folks there. That's what this top toolbar, and this is telling us that we're synced to Revit. So this drawing is synced to Revit, and so we can send information both ways between the two. If I wanted to, if I hit this to go back, it's going to send the fixtures back in the new location. So you can see how interesting this can get, that you can put luminaires either in Revit or in Lightstanza and send it back. Are there questions up here about this top toolbar? And yes, yeah, I'm sure this is very different than the tools that you're using, but we're trying to keep this a simple tool. I understand that you have expertise in other tools, so everything is going to require some learning, but we've spent, we think, a fair amount of time on just trying to make this simple. And then I'll continue on these other bars. So yeah, once again, this bar over here is just keeping track of your calculation results, and you can just click on different results to get different information. So that's what these things are doing here. And I just clicked on this, and I'm just getting some different information from it. And this is a history of what it's doing. And at the bottom, you could see this is basically telling you, these are sort of the simulation outputs, the calculation outputs, and you can change some different things if you want with the outputs. You can take out the numbers, and you can change the luminance bounds and things like that down here. And then if you don't want to see this calculation, I can go ahead and close it. So there it is. And then this over here, this is telling you about all the calculation grids in your model. So these are grids that you drew. So if I were to make my own grid, I can make different types of grids, and as I'm selecting it, it makes a new grid and it adds it into this panel. So this is these two grids here, and if I want, I can rename them. If I want, I could just go ahead and edit it. I could say area of interest, and if I wanted to, I could change the height of it. So here, the grid height, you can change here. And let me cancel this. And you also have the grids that are brought in from Revit. And so these are the Revit grids that came in. And these are done by typically the engineer or architect, and these would be rooms or spaces defined in their Revit model. And so it just helps you not have to redraw them by having this. And then we have this sort of automatic grid that we try to guess them. They'll be much more useful for SketchUp models and Rhino models. And then if you like a grid, you can go ahead and favorite it, so it makes it accessible. And then you could just work on this one grid, let's say, that you really care about, and I could crop into here and try to understand it. So yeah, so that's what the grid calculation is for. You can change the spacing of the grid. Right now, the grid's only, it's limited to your entire model will have the same spacing. You can change the offset from the wall, you can change the grid height, etc. And then you have tags. And so if these tags, the names you can hide, and that's what this tag is for here. So I'm now hiding the name of these calculation grids. So yeah, this is the grids here. And then this is the fixtures tab and the luminaires. And here are all the different luminaires that were imported by Revit. And when you import them, you can see that this didn't have any calculation data. And so you can go ahead and edit it here, or you can assign one from the library. And in this case, you just pick one here. And once it's assigned, you can actually look at it more carefully and get at the photometrics of it. And I didn't, it's not the right fixture, sorry. But the idea is this is what it looks like. If this was, you could try to change this to make it fit better, but this is obviously, I picked not the right fixture for this egress lighting. I can just cancel that. Yeah, and you also have a schedule of fixtures you could see this way. And you could go ahead and change things here also if you wanted to change some of the fixture data. If I wanted to change this, I could do it here in my schedule. And I can also do it over here where I can expand this and see like light loss factor, EM, etc. And then I have this, if I like this fixture, let's say this is a fixture I use a lot and I like it, I could save it to a library. And this library will be accessible to anyone on your team. So if I go to my library, see my luminaires, I'll be able to share these with my colleagues and I can add them on any drawing if it's Revit, DXF, or Sketchup or anything else. And so this is like a shared library that you can use. And then you can also upload IES files. And these can also be shared. And then for the lighting layouts, you can just pick a space and do a layout. That's what this tab is for. So the idea is I could pick this, I could do a lighting layout, and then I can fill in, for example, the different type of fixture I want to use. And I could just pick its mounting height and apply the layout, etc. So this is just put in those fixtures here. And if I don't like them, I can always go over here and delete. So yeah. So I'm sure you'll be spending a lot of time in this tab. This is the tab that you can draw things or import images. And if you have a Revit model, you probably won't use this, but occasionally if there's a hole or a problem, you can just add things quickly to the model. You can make if you wanted to, if you wanted to do some exterior lighting or something, you can just put shapes outside and work with that too. And then this is the materials tab. Typically you'll maybe just change your reflectance value of the material, or you can apply it directly. And so that's what you want to do with the materials. And then we have this layers tab. These have the different layers from the families from Revit, but also if this was a DXF import or a PDF import, you would have layers for your fixtures versus your geometry. And then this is just a site tab for it. So, and this is a report that you can get after you run a calculation, and it gives you a schedule of what was run and it gives you some calculations. Right now, we really just have a daylight report, And I do want to give you guys a special offer if you guys give us feedback to give you a very special price if you're interested. So yeah, are there questions right now? Otherwise I can start. Sorry that I was running, had some hiccups to get this started. Are there questions right now?
Well, I'm looking up on the other channels. I'm receiving any questions, but apparently it seems not to be the case. You mentioned, which is correct, that there is the report side is not complete yet, and I think no one is happy with all the reports from the different other types of software. Do you think there will be in the future probably a way to make the report, let's say, adapted to the user's needs, so that probably, let's say, you have a report which is a standard report, and if I as an office come to you and say, hey, can I have a special customized report, is that something that could be made possible?
Yeah, so right now.
So how are you reacting on clients' requests?
Oh, for sure, for sure. So just real basic. We don't this this is also done with your current software, is that you can customize this thing, and we yeah. So on a very general level, whoever's participating, right now we're running a special of $900 a year. If anyone here, and this will be good for this next month until May 1st, wanted to give us feedback on what they want in their reports, I'm happy to reduce this price even further, to even give you $400 off. And it could be $500 to buy this, and everyone in your company can use the software if you wanted to give us some feedback on the reports. Because as Michael said, our reports right now work for daylight calculations, and we're making some improvements so that it'll be easy to get electrical reports out of this. And so if anyone's interested, everyone at this webinar is welcome to have that special pricing if they wanted to just give some feedback on reports. Did that answer your question, Michael, or just about our workflow? And we'd be happy to work with someone here who has some strong thoughts about their reports, and we have a plan for it. We're very participatory, and we want to hear from users about what their needs are.
Yeah, that's something that I contact you telling you that I have seen your software and I seem to like it, and I'd like to know more about it. And I spoke to other people, and you were quickly saying, yeah, okay, I'll be showing it to the other people as well. And that's probably where it starts, to show that you are open to help people out, because not every software manufacturer is running a hotline, even less a hotline that can help. And so far, if as a manufacturer I tell, or as a intensive user of software, I'm telling you, I've got difficulty here, or we need this, or we need that, or why the heck is this or that is not working? Never. Either am I too dumb, or is it impossible to do this? Then you either have no reactions, like emergency lighting. There are people asking for emergency lighting at least for 8 years in a certain software, and it has been promised that it would be there within 1 year. So they're now 7.5 years behind, which is something really typical with software companies. I don't blame them. It happens. How do you handle things? How fast is your development if someone says, I need it, it's urgent, and if not only one person but 10 people are asking you?
Yeah, I think we're pretty responsive. I mean, we have a roadmap, and I was just showing you, by the way, how you can turn these into emergency lights. But as I said, because we do updates so frequently, I don't know how often the software that you guys use do updates. But if you look at the version notes, it just shows that we are very responsive to people. Like, we just make changes really rapidly. In this case, you can see it, that it's almost every week we're making updates. So I think in this area of reporting, we're very interested in hearing feedback. And yeah, I think we're generally responsive to our customers, and our philosophy is, for selfish reasons, we want customers not to have problems because we want our software to be high quality. And if someone has a complaint, we don't want to have the second person have the same complaint, because it just means it's more work for us. So we want to address problems as soon as we can. And again, with this feature, if you type in support, you could say, why is this blah, 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 and we'll see this email right away. And we don't want this to be a problem for other users. So yeah. Yeah, so any other questions from the folks, and would anyone be interested in this special pricing where currently, it's $900 a year. Happy to, give you a $400 coupon. Everyone at your company can be logged in at once to Lightstanza. Everyone could be doing layouts, running calculations, but you'll just have one of these calculation engines. You'll have one server devoted to your company. And so our business model is, if you start using it a lot, you'll probably want to buy more calculations. But I think for most people, one calculation will be sufficient. If I was working on a project with Michael, I would be able to run something without any issues. I can just go in and, let's say I wanted to just run a rendering. Then if Michael were to start with something, his calculation would simply get queued. And I have a lot of calculation engines, but just to show you what it would look like is, at some point, you keep kicking these off. At some point, Lightstanza will say you've kind of reached your limit, but it'll still do it for you. Let's see. So this is a great thing about web computing. Let's see, I think it's still, I guess I have too much, I'm a power user, but at some point it'll say waiting. But right now it's, I have multiple calc engines. So yeah. Any other questions about this, and are people excited to see that there's like web-based lighting calculation software now? And when you run the grids, you can change different aspects to the simulation quality, etc. Okay, so just about Lightstanza again. If you go to our, this is a problem with web-based, is you can have a lot of tabs open. But if you wanted to, you can go to the, you can just get a free trial. You don't have to pay any credit card, nothing. You could just try it out. And also you can get our Revit plugin. So you can get the plugin. This is for Revit and one for Sketchup. And they're also free. And you can just download these to try them out. And then with your free account, you can also, when you're in here, you can also invite other people to your team. So I can invite just someone else here to the team, and then you can all try it out. And I'm happy to give a heavy discount if you want it this month, or before May 1st, if people wanted to try this out and they wanted to try, and we have a 30-day money-back guarantee for the software. So yeah.
Well, then no one else have any question. I have none.
Okay.
But I bet there'll be some discussion on Facebook on how it was received, and you probably have a look over it. It's going to be in Italian though, but if there's anything, I will forward and push it to you so you can respond. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, thanks. I hope you guys see that this can help with some pain points that you have. I understand the software is probably different than yours, but we're definitely very user-oriented, as Michael has pointed out, and we want to improve the industry to make it easy to do your work, easier to do your work, and quicker. So yeah.
Yeah, man. Thank you for your time, for showing us what the software can do, what it cannot do, but all the different points. And well, I can just ask everyone to get in touch with you if there are questions.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone. All right, have a good evening over there.
Yeah.
This is, I'll just leave
down, going down.
information. So yeah.
You.
All right. Yeah. For
Bye.
folks. Bye everyone.